where walls fell and freedom rose. This storm is more than thunder, it's code, alive, unstoppable. Through rain and shadows we run, forged by fire, forged by freedom. Because now, the current is ours. Bitcoin plus Berlin. Berlin, the city where walls fell and freedom rose. This storm is more than thunder, it's code, alive, unstoppable. Through rain and shadows we run, forged by fire, forged by freedom. Because now, the current is ours. Bitcoin plus Berlin. Berlin, the city where walls fell and freedom rose. This storm is more than thunder, it's code, alive, unstoppable. Through rain and shadows we run, forged by fire, forged by freedom. Because now, the current is ours. Bitcoin plus Berlin.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Bitcoin Plus Plus Lightning Edition. Continuing the content here on the main stage, we have the creator of my personal favorite Lightning wallet, but just to call it a Lightning wallet would be an understatement. Yeah, this is Evan Kudas, the creator of Zeus, and he's here to tell you all about graduated wallets. Please give a very warm welcome to this fine gentleman, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
All right, let's see. We're not connected? No? All right, let's try now. Whoops.
Up there, you should have a menu. Go to screen mirroring. It should be mirror. Yeah. And should be entire screen. Start mirroring. And now I should see exactly that. And then you go into presentation. There you go.
All right. How's everyone doing today? My name's Evan Kudas. I'm the founder of Zeus. We're going to talk about graduated wallets, specifically the graduated wallet in Zeus. We're going to show you how a user can go from being a mortal to an Olympian in Zeus wallet. So this is me, Evan Kudas. I'm the founder of Zeus. What's Zeus? Zeus is our flagship self-custodial Lightning and Bitcoin wallet for mobile, Android and iOS. And the project really started as a tool for remote node operators to remotely connect to their nodes, either in the cloud or at home, LND, Core Lightning. And in the last couple of years, it's sort of evolved. So now there's a embedded node and wallet in the phone, and just a couple of clicks, you would go from downloading the app on the App Store to sending and receiving your first Lightning payments. But that's not all we do. We've got an LSP, Zeus LSP, that helps you get connected to the Lightning Network with channel leases, and it can be found in a number of products, including our own wallet, BTC Pay, Alby Hub, Lightning Pub. We've got a Lightning address service called Zeus Pay. We launched the first self-custodial Lightning address for mobile wallets in a system called ZapLocker. We've now extended that so that you could use it for a remote node using NWC, as well as with Cashew, which is powering our graduated wallet. And we also have a product called Zeus White, where we do white glove integrations for companies, services, and integrations. So let's get into it. What's a graduated wallet? So we're really excited about this. We think that this is the future of Lightning wallets. In a nutshell, it's a custodial or trusted self-custodial Lightning progression. So you might be on a custodial system like we are with Cashew. You might be on something that has, it might be self-custodial, but has other trust assumptions, like a Spark wallet. I know some other speakers were talking about that. But the question is, why? And from our years of doing the self-custodial wallet, we've learned a couple things. So first off, economic self-custody, it's not free. And being sovereign in Bitcoin has a true cost. So if you were to download the Zeus wallet and go down the self-custodial path, you have to pay a fee to either open up a channel or lease a channel from the LSP. The reality is that some users may not want to pay to try something new. And we're really proud that we've been able to reduce our LSP costs somewhere between 6,000 to 7,000 sats to get started with a channel lease from us. But for most users, they want to be able to get started without having to incur that cost. And secondly, if you're doing an on-chain transaction, which is required for channels and or exit out of an L2, that also has a cost. But that's not it. Lightning is complicated. The onboarding UX could stand to be better. We think that with a graduated wallet, you could have less friction to get started. We could abstract away the channel liquidity knowledge that one might need, trying to figure out what's inbound liquidity, what's outbound, sort of can be overbearing for a new user that you want to introduce to Bitcoin and get started and get into our economy. And instead of hitting them with this overbearing knowledge, we want them to have that aha lightning moment as soon as possible. Yeah, we want them to feel like they feel when they hear that song. We want them to have that instant payment go through, the check mark show up on their screen. We want them to have a lightning address. We want them to be able to take that lightning address, put it into something like a Nostr, and start receiving their first sats. And this all comes back to this mantra that we keep repeating. And it's, we want to meet the users where they are, and then we can show them the way. So here's how we sort of outlined it in terms of the different user classes and sort of what the progression of the journey looks like in Zeus.
Got to give me another 30 seconds for these slides. Sorry. Killing me, I know.
Oh my God, a lot of technical difficulties today. Oh God, Greek folklore. Okay, which tale should we start with? How about let's do some audience participation here. Who here has used Zeus before? Oh wow, that's a lot of hands. That feels good. Who has tried the new graduated wallet experience, the Cashew functionality? Can't find it. It's tucked away right now. It's in experimental mode. We'll change that. Oh, we love feedback. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that, folks. It happens. All right, let's get to it. So, the progression of users in Zeus. They all have different profiles. So, first is the mortal. This user's using the custodial or trusted onboarding. They get a lightning address. They have the same seed phrase. They could carry it across their progression. There's no channel management. They could have that aha moment we were talking about. And then the wallet sort of prompts the user to upgrade to self-custody as their balance grows. And the user sort of has control in their self-sovereignty journey to upgrade whenever they see fit. From there, you can upgrade to becoming a god. This is the embedded node in the phone. It's real self-custody. You're in control. It's a real Lightning wallet. You're likely leaning on the LSP for channels, and you get to keep the same seed, keep the Lightning address, and go on your journey. And then lastly is the user group we originally built the wallet for, is the Olympians. These are the self-sovereign node runners, node at home or in the cloud. You have more of the knowledge of the channel liquidity. You're opening channels, closing them, peering to who you see fit. Maybe you're leaning on the LSP, but you don't really need to, and you're managing your own channels. And I wanted to really illustrate this with some images. I was going to go and put it into one of the AI bots and spit some out, but I didn't find the time to do it because I ended up going to Oktoberfest before this. And it was worth it, but I found some really good fallback images here. So I found SpongeBob had a really good analogy here. I know the Lightning community likes SpongeBob because of Wumbo channels. And I know we got a lot of these self-sovereign Olympian types on the right, shredded SpongeBob in the room. But I just want to emphasize that if we want Lightning to succeed as a payment method, as Bitcoin to succeed as a payment method, we need to sort of cater to these wimpy SpongeBobs over on the left. So, what's Cashew? Cashew is what we're using for the mortals, the first step on the graduated journey. And Cashew is a free and open source Chaumian eCash protocol. It's built on Bitcoin. It has good privacy properties. The trade-off is that it's custodial. So there's a risk of the underlying custodian, the mint, of stealing your funds. More info is available on cashew.space. Recommend checking that out and taking a look at the ecosystem that we're proud to be a small part of right now. And why Cashew? Why did we go this route? I think first and foremost is the privacy properties of it. The token system ensures that the mint doesn't know how much any single user holds, the mint can only rug everyone at the same time, not individual users. They could still do like a fractional reserve scheme, but that really targets everyone. The tooling maturity has really evolved over the last few years. There's libraries for JavaScript, for Rust. There's 15 to 20 people working on the tooling and the protocol. We've seen the Mint ecosystem boom. There's dozens of mints now. Many of them have been running for several years now. And lastly is functionality. Cashew gives us a lot of stuff we haven't been able to previously do in Zeus. You have those offline, out-of-band transfers where you can exchange tokens without making a Lightning payment. You could send it via a text message. This is really great for privacy because the mints underneath, they don't know when those tokens got passed around to who. And lastly, we have gifting and clawback, which we'll get into a little bit later, but it's functionality that we've wished we had in Zeus for a long time, and now we finally have it. So here's a little look at the graduated wallet experience in Zeus. You can toggle between the eCash and the self-custodial mode on the left, switch between mints, create invoices really quickly on the fly, select your mints. You have mint management, pick whatever mint you want, switch between them, rotate balances, switch between them at any time. And then we have a unified balance here on the third screen, but we still break down all the different layers. So there's Lightning, there's on-chain, and then you see eCash right there. That's the custodial, the clearly marked. There's some stuff we do with the colors to sort of emphasize the risk as that balance is growing. And we also are prodding the user to upgrade to self-custody while being this sort of a Bitcoin Sherpa and giving them this educational component. Learn about self-custody. Why is it important? What's the difference between the eCash setup you started with, and why is it important to actually take control of your own funds and become sovereign? So we're going to talk about a couple of other interesting UI components that we added in our implementation. We've got the portable Lightning address, as I was talking about earlier. When you get started, you have the option of choosing which path you want to go down. Do you want to start just with eCash and have an eCash-powered Lightning address, or do you want to use a self-custodial address? You could take that handle and switch between all the different types, depending on what your needs are. Do you want to prioritize self-custody? Do you want to just accept to Cashew so that it's easier, a better experience for the sender? And at any given point, you can switch. You can go and switch, connect your remote node. You could switch back and forth between these two modes. The portability is very important to us. We also have sweep to self-custody functionality. So instead of us setting thresholds of when we think you should upgrade, we let you determine that yourself. So you can keep an eCash Lightning address while you've still upgraded. And at a certain threshold, you could say, hey, sweep my Cashew balance. Let's pull it into my channels. I want to take control once it hits a certain threshold. And then lastly, let's say you don't even want to deal with a Cashew wallet. You're all about self-sovereignty. You can still receive payments via Cashew and then sweep them to your self-custodial wallet on the Cashew token view, which we've highlighted here at the bottom, which I think is really cool. Next up, mint selection. This is the most prickly part of it right now, without a doubt. We don't want to make any, impose our opinions about which mints to use. So right now, we're leveraging Nostr to pull down mint attestations from users who have given it the thumbs up, and then they can use bitcoinmints.com to read the reviews from all the users and make a determination themselves. So this is the thing we want to upgrade the most. We want to leverage a social graph on Nostr. We've used Nostr to supercharge our wallet before with stuff like the attestations for self-custodial Lightning address, for our Nostr contact book, and we think that Nostr will be a big point in helping users pick their mints to get started with. And here you could see a little bit of information about the mint, their details, what software they're running, what functionality they support, what their supported nuts, the support contacts, and you can add as many mints as your heart contents. Then we've got this little prodding we do. And at different thresholds, we'll really step up how annoying we are about the message. So at 10,000 sats, we'll be like, you finally got a balance that's big enough to feasibly upgrade and purchase a channel lease from us. And as you have a larger and larger balance, we'll get more annoying about it. Like, your balance is growing. We want to make sure you don't lose your money. Take a look at this, learn about self-custody, and upgrade with this button. And by the end of it, it's like, high balance detected. It's crucial that you upgrade to self-custodial Lightning to secure your funds. So we're really just starting off here. I think there's a lot of fun things we can do with the messaging here. But really a big part of it is becoming more aggressive as your balance grows here and the risk grows. Then we have other cute little components like heating up of the eCash balance. It gets more red, like the stove is heating up, so you don't get burnt. And naturally, as that balance decreases, it cools back off again, which I thought was a cute little touch we added. Gifting. Gifting has been amazing. So many of our users asked us for the ability to do it, but there really wasn't a way for us to do it without becoming a custodian and holding those sats. Now that we could offload it to the mints, you can easily create tokens, pick which mint you want to send it from, add a message, set your amount, create the token. You get a QR or the string, you could share it over text, email, give it to someone in person. And then once it's created, you got this little eCash icon in the wallet header up in the top right, and you could check to see when it's been redeemed. So let's say you give it to a cab driver, and then 3 months go by. You can go check and see if they redeemed it, and if not, well, you can go in, claw it back, and say, hey, instead of losing those sats that he may have lost on whatever piece of paper or medium you gave it to them, and claim it back. And I think this was really important because we heard so many horror stories of people gifting their friends multiple Bitcoins in the early days, and now with Cashew and eCash, that doesn't have to be a reality anymore. We went ahead and we made some cards to test this out in Vegas. Super great UX to just be able to give someone a card that looks cool, give them a QR for the wallet to download, and a QR for the actual funds to redeem on any Cashew-compatible wallet. We're going to do this again. One thing I would emphasize is that those QR codes are dense. Look how many bits of data are in that. Make sure you print that big enough. You really want something that's more akin to like a euro bill than, say, a business card. And then lastly, we got a little demo here of 2 Cashew wallets interacting out of band. On the left is Macadamia wallet, on the right is Zeus. And this is being exchanged over Apple's NFC mode. It's got a really cool effect. And you could see you could accept the string that you transferred over. Zeus loads up. It loads up for a second. You hit import. And suddenly you have that balance, which is super cool. So, what's next for the graduated experience in Zeus? First off, right now it's experimental. You've got to go into your settings and enable it if you have the embedded node. We want to remove that label entirely once we've worked out all the kinks, and we want to implement it into our new onboarding process that we're targeting in version 1.0 of Zeus in Q1 of 2026. In the meantime, I'd really appreciate anyone who wants to go check it out, give us some feedback, tell us what works, what doesn't. Our focus is going to be on a number of things, including mint discovery and auto selection based on Nostr contacts. And we have a path for users who don't know what any of that is to get on board and get a good selection of mints, as well as for more discerning users to go and see what mints their Nostr friends recommended. We're implementing multi-mint sends. That means that users can clear their entire Cashew balance in a single transaction, even if they're spread across multiple mints. We're going to have multi-mint support for Cashew Lightning addresses. We're going to improve our update balance warnings and take into account on-chain rates. And we're generally going to be focusing on the UI and the UX. And lastly, I think most importantly, is the why. Why are we doing this all? And in a nutshell, it's about that squishy SpongeBob from the Mortals page. We need to understand that I think everyone in this room here is here for one purpose. We want to see Bitcoin used as everyday payments in the world. And if we're going to do that, we need to cater to those users. And I think we have wallets and applications have a huge role to play. We can sort of act as a Bitcoin Sherpa for these people and help educate them within our app. When I think about the horror scenarios that we had in our community the last couple of years, the biggest thing that comes to mind is the aftermath of what happened with Samurai Wallet and all the wallets that left the US market following that. I remember I was at my family dinner, Thanksgiving. I popped onto Twitter for a quick second, and I see all these wallets, Wallet of Satoshi, are leaving the market. And I could only think of all the new Bitcoin users that got onboarded into that way, and what a nightmare it would be for people to run back to every bartender, or server, or busboy. What are they going to do? Run back and say, hey, you got to go switch your wallets now because this is going to be kaput in the coming days? It's just a nightmare scenario. And I think that Zeus can become the one-stop wallet that you recommend to everyone, from the busboy to the waiter to your grandma. And the wallet is going to act as the Sherpa, take some weight off of you so you don't have to check in them, and so you have peace of mind that the wallet is going to prompt them to upgrade and teach them about self-custody. And after all, we have the incentive to do so too, because with our wallet, the LSP, we have the financial incentive to do that. And it's really a huge part of our ethos. And we think that this model, this graduated wallet model, we might not have all the answers here, but this is going to be the future, and this is what we have to do to bring the rest of the world onto it. And we could do it in a way that's ethical, that has trade-offs, but really just meets the user where they are and shows them the way. And that's it in a nutshell. Here's where you could find us. ZeusLN, you can find us on Twitter and Nostr. We're on Android and iOS. We're really looking forward for you guys to trying out the wallet, giving us more feedback, and helping shape the future of graduated wallets.
Testing. Hey, great presentation, first of all. I love the graduated wallet approach. I think it's desperately needed.
Thank you.
And I very much agree with you on the point of friction of mint discovery and mint selection for the end user is very difficult. There is something that is being worked on called KYM, Know Your Mint. What it is, are you familiar with this?
No.
Okay, so it takes data sources from, are you familiar with the Cashew Mint Auditor?
Yes, the auditor is a fantastic tool,
Yeah.
and we keep our eyes on it.
Exactly. So the auditor is a fantastic tool, and Bitcoin Mints is a fantastic tool to a certain degree. It's easily gameable with Nostr reviews, right? There's nothing stopping someone.
100%.
So the idea for Know Your Mint is that you take these two data sources from the Mint auditor, which is a lot harder to game, a lot harder to fake, because it's constantly auditing the Mint's performance and whether or not the melt were successful, and kind of tallying that, and then combining it with the relevant information from Bitcoin mints. And if you can take those two, I think, and then present the relevant data to the end user in a way that's very digestible, I think that helps with mint selection. So I'd love to kind of maybe show you it and see if it's something that you'd be interested in.
Yeah, I'd love to learn more about KYM. That's why we're here at Bitcoin++. We're here to learn more. And yeah, I totally think the future is going to be a combination of the social graph, leveraging Nostr, and also presenting like pertinent information like the audit data to the user.
100%.
Got one more over here.
Over. So, hi Evan. I've been a user of Zeus since January 2022 to connect my Lightning nodes, and Zeus was always the best remote way to access on mobile. So, thank you. You were sharing your vision that Zeus can be the wallet for everybody, the busboy, the bartender, right?
Right.
And the one feature I would need to recommend that would be splicing. When splicing in Zeus?
That's a fantastic question. We already had some interesting discussions about that today. It's definitely a target for us to hit in 2026. So we love splicing. We love all the work that Rusty's done on it, and we want to bring it to Zeus, both for the embedded node as well as the remote nodes that we can, next year.
Because there were some ARC talks here, is ARC something that makes sense in a context for Zeus for the future, or is it something that just has its own applications?
ARC is fascinating. We have our eyes on it. We still think it has a little ways to go, but I think there's a possibility it lands in Zeus as part of the graduated wallet. Don't get me wrong, we're all in on Cashew right now. We love the ecosystem and the privacy properties. I think it could live alongside Cashew eCash in Zeus for sure. All right, thank you everyone, I really appreciate it.
Berlin, the city where walls fell and freedom rose. This storm is more than thunder, it's code, alive, unstoppable. Through rain and shadows we run, forged by fire, forged by freedom. Because now, the current is ours. Bitcoin plus Berlin. Berlin, the city where walls fell and freedom rose. This storm is more than thunder, it's code, alive, unstoppable. Through rain and shadows we run, forged by fire, forged by freedom. Because now, the current is ours. Bitcoin plus Berlin.
For this, and apparently they're going to be quite happy I'll finish early. So yes, Lightning's other toxic waste problem. So what are our goals for Lightning? I mean, there's a whole bunch of them, but I'd say the one I want to talk about right now, of course, is privacy. And if you know how Lightning works, you may know that Lightning uses onion routing to make sure that nodes in the path of a payment don't actually know where the payment's going. And you see this if you actually go look at the data your node has. This is something I grabbed off of Zeus, actually, and interfacing to one of my own nodes. And this is an actual payment getting routed. 198,995 sats in on one channel and out on another. You can see the time, October 3rd, just earlier today. And that is all my node knows. Plus also the HTLC data too. But I don't know where this money came from, and ultimately I don't know where it went. Right? Seems pretty private. The challenge is, the issue we have, is that let's go take a look at another payment. Yeah, man. There, okay. This one, same deal. This time I got paid a much higher fee, 403 sats. But notice the time at the very bottom, October 3rd, 2024. And this time around, the channel in and the channel out is grayed out. Well, why is it grayed out? Because this is so old that these channels don't even exist anymore. I mean, this is a payment from a year ago. So you got to ask the question, why is it that my node is holding on to records about a payment 1 year ago? I mean, surely I don't need to know that money came in or out of that channel. I mean, maybe for counting, I might want to know, I earned some money back then. But even then, I mean, really, what's the argument here? Why are we doing this? And I'd say this is a massive risk. This is why I say we have a toxic log honeypot. LND, by default, is collecting all this data. Well, where do people run Lightning nodes? Amazon.com, Google Cloud, DigitalOcean, Hertzer, DataWeb, all of these very, very centralized providers where, frankly, it would take like one Safina to go to Amazon and say, hey, we want you to take all of these virtual servers running all of these Lightning nodes and just give us every single log file they have. There's more than enough information in those logs to completely defeat onion routing. The amount coming in, the amount coming out, and the time. That is more than enough to reconstruct payments. And I didn't bother showing it because I couldn't get Zeus connected to my old node, but LND keeps this forever. CLN, is my understanding, keeps it forever. I don't use CLN, the interface sucks, but my understanding is the logs get kept forever. I have an LND node that currently isn't operating from 2017. And I checked, and sure enough, the very first payment it ever routed, it's still in the logs. That particular one was sitting on a hard drive in my apartment, so at least, a Safina isn't going to get it that easily, but still, why is that data being kept? And you can look at the prior art of other onion-routed networks, like Tor. Can you get Tor to keep any logs at all? Not without changing the source code. By default, it keeps absolutely nothing. There are some debug options to go and collect a little more data just for debugging a Tor node. And last I looked in the log, in the Tor RC, the config files, they don't even mention this stuff anymore because they don't want people turning this on. Everything in Tor just gets thrown away instantly. VPNs, at least the good ones like Molvad, they even go to the length of having RAM-only infrastructure. That is, they don't have persistent storage on their servers. Nothing gets stored. The server turns on, boots up over a network, a bunch of stuff happens in RAM. If anyone tries to seize anything, unless they do something very sophisticated, like an attack on a live server, the RAM's going to get wiped and you're going to get absolutely nothing. And LND at least knows about this issue. Super Testnet, a few months ago on June 19, he opened this pull request. Frankly, he didn't do a very good job of writing it. It's very hard to figure out what it really means. But this has just been sitting around there completely unanswered for months. There seems to be no interest in fixing this. I've heard that CLN, there is a plugin you can get that should delete old logs. I'm not quite sure. I've never really tried it, so I don't know if it really works. But on LND, correct me if I'm wrong, but I can't see any way to do it even if I wanted to. So, why are these logs kept? I don't know. You answer me. There's clearly no technical reason why logs are getting kept for channels that don't even exist. Now, certainly for channels that do exist, You need to keep some amount of data to be able to respond to the counterparty closing your channel. But we've already gone through this in the L&D spec. We're very clever. We use all kinds of techniques like deriving secrets from master secrets, and we have watchtowers which allow the data to be entirely encrypted, so the third-party watchtower doesn't know. All of these techniques can be used. There just is no excuse for this. And that's really where my talk ends, because there's no fucking excuse for this. This is not a technical talk. This is really a question of why has L&D not prioritized basic privacy for years? And I don't have an answer to that. Do you guys have an answer? All right, we have someone saying something.
I don't know what L&D's reason is, but like a ton of businesses that run lightning nodes love to keep track of that stuff for tax purposes.
Great, we can give them an option to do that. Next question. Yeah, seems like we don't have a reason to do this, do we? We got a room full of people who understand the tech, yet no one's going to go tell me that we need to do this. Why? I mean, I'm not going to point him out, but we have someone very well known in the Wasabi community, and Wasabi doesn't even have the ability to keep logs. Yet L&D for some reason does. CLN, as far as I know, does. Like I say, I don't actually use it. I've never really tried Phoenix's fancy routing, but I don't know, maybe they keep logs too. Like I personally, when I try to go and put money into Lightning and do it in an anonymous way, I like to open channels to new nodes, because I know this is an issue, and nodes that have just been created are likely to be destroyed soon when the person gets bored of them, and the logs will get deleted. But why aren't all L&D nodes doing this by default? I don't know. Yeah, I can put out a bounty. All right, first person who goes and does a plugin that can delete L&D nodes, I'll go pay them. Well, why don't we make it 420,000 sats? That's what, $600 or something? I'd be willing to pay that just so I can delete the stuff on my own system.
Can you accelerate the process perhaps by causing a subpoena to Amazon to happen?
It's not a bad strategy. Yeah, so yeah, we're 7 minutes in. I think I'm done here. Go fix this.
Berlin, the city where walls fell and freedom rose. This storm is more than thunder, it's code, alive, unstoppable. Through rain and shadows we run, forged by fire, forged by freedom. Because now, the current is ours. Bitcoin plus Berlin. Berlin, the city where walls fell and freedom rose. This storm is more than thunder, it's code, alive, unstoppable. Through rain and shadows we run, forged by fire, forged by freedom. Because now the current is ours. Bitcoin plus Berlin. Berlin, the city where walls fell and freedom rose. This storm is more than thunder, it's code, alive, unstoppable. Through rain and shadows we run, forged by fire, forged by freedom. Because now the current is ours. Bitcoin plus Berlin. Berlin, the city where walls fell and freedom rose. This storm is more than thunder, it's code, alive, unstoppable. Through rain and shadows we run, forged by fire, forged by freedom. Because now the current is ours. Bitcoin plus Berlin. the city where walls fell and freedom rose. This storm is more than thunder, it's code, alive, unstoppable. Through rain and shadows we run, forged by fire, forged by freedom. Because now, the current is ours. Bitcoin plus Berlin. Berlin, the city where walls fell and freedom rose. This storm is more than thunder, it's code, alive, unstoppable. Through rain and shadows we run, forged by fire, forged by freedom. Because now, the current is ours. Bitcoin plus Berlin. Berlin, the city where walls fell and freedom rose. This storm is more than thunder, it's code, alive, unstoppable. Through rain and shadows we run, forged by fire, forged by freedom. Because now, the current is ours. Bitcoin plus Berlin. city where walls fell and freedom rose. This storm is more than thunder, it's code, alive, unstoppable. Through rain and shadows we run, forged by fire, forged by freedom. Because now, the current is ours. Bitcoin plus Berlin. Berlin, the city where walls fell and freedom rose. This storm is more than thunder, it's code, alive, unstoppable. Through rain and shadows we run, forged by fire, forged by freedom. Because now, the current is ours. Bitcoin plus Berlin. Berlin, the city where walls fell and freedom rose. This storm is more than thunder, it's code, alive, unstoppable. Through rain and shadows we run, forged by fire, forged by freedom. Because now, the current is ours. Bitcoin plus Berlin. the city where walls fell and freedom rose. This storm is more than thunder, it's code, alive, unstoppable. Through rain and shadows we run, forged by fire, forged by freedom. Because now, the current is ours. Bitcoin plus Berlin. Berlin, the city where walls fell and freedom rose. This storm is more than thunder, it's code, alive, unstoppable. Through rain and shadows we run, forged by fire, forged by freedom. Because now, the current is ours. Bitcoin plus Berlin. Berlin, the city where walls fell and freedom rose. This storm is more than thunder, it's code, alive, unstoppable. Through rain and shadows we run, forged by fire, forged by freedom. Because now, the current is ours. Bitcoin plus Berlin. city where walls fell and freedom rose. This storm is more than thunder, it's code, alive, unstoppable. Through rain and shadows we run, forged by fire, forged by freedom. Because now, the current is ours. Bitcoin plus Berlin. Berlin, the city where...
Shinobi. But it wouldn't be a lightning panel without a Greek god himself. Evan Kudas, welcome back.
What now? Can we go?
So I got told that panels have a fixed size, but my understanding is that lightning panels have a special technology called splicing, and so we can increase the size of a panel beyond what is already preset. And so I'm going to splice two panelists into the panel right now. We have Rita joining us, and of course the creator of splicing, Dusty. Now, actually, Dusty has to go, and of course, I don't want you guys to feel shortchanged, and so I arranged a special swap. Of course, that swap is powered by no one else other than Michael from Bolts, so I'm swapping Dusty out, and Michael from Bolts is coming in. Thank you, Dusty, for your help with the splicing. Thank you. My most esteemed panel. Okay, let's construct it. So,
Base layer.
The base layer. We have Evan Kudas. Please come take a seat. We have
No, don't listen to this guy.
We have Rita. Please take a seat. And then Michael, of course, is going to help me get these. Michael's going to help me get these gentlemen between layers here, as he so often helps Bitcoiners move between layers. So Michael, if you could just hold this structure with me, and the three gentlemen are going to climb up the back. One at a time, please, gentlemen.
Wow.
There isn't.
Shinobi doesn't weigh very much, don't worry.
Bitcoin doesn't care.
Just paper Bitcoin on top, it's okay.
It's the metric system, it doesn't count.
We are very serious people.
By the way, Shinobi looks like in the memes. I didn't know.
What's up?
Hi.
Michael, you can come take a seat now. Thank you.
Do you have a microphone, or are you going to shout?
Jesus, Murphy.
Okay.
So my first question to my esteemed panel is,
All good.
it's never been easier to run a Lightning node. It's essentially plug and play. So why don't more people run their own Lightning nodes? Shinobi.
Well, because
Sorry, you were getting filtered for a minute there.
Pain in the butt. You have to keep it reliably online. You have to handle all the liquidity management yourself. So make sure you have enough receiving capacity to receive, that your sending capacity is allocated intelligently so that your payments will actually succeed. And it's also just a lot of other issues that really have nothing to do with Lightning itself. For instance, my place at home, I have a very unreliable router that loves to just randomly drop devices off the network. So even though the Lightning side of the infrastructure works perfectly, my node is constantly conveniently offline when I'm traveling around the world and want to make a Lightning payment. It's just a lot of things you gotta get hands-on with.
So you're saying it's a skill issue, Shinobi, is that right?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying, Kali?
That's what I have to say to that, Walden.
Oh, Shinobi, here we are.
Shinobi filtering his words there kindly for you. Kali, your thoughts?
So I think like one of the biggest issues is that you can actually lose money. So lots of people who run Lightning nodes know that many people who run Lightning nodes are net negative, basically, with the routing fees that you collect for a year or two, and then you get forced closed during a high fee period, and you can easily lose 50 or $100. So that's one problem why I know that some people just stop running their own Lightning node because it's not worth the hassle for them. But there's the whole, the centralized way of using Lightning with a centralized LSP maybe, or something like Phoenix. That really works really, really well. So I have no complaints there. I've been using Phoenix for many years, and it's been the same Lightning node since the beginning, and it works just really, really well. I think it basically depends on how you want to use Lightning. And if you're going to go the LND, I'm a routing node way, and hope that you can make some extra buck, I think that's super challenging to actually pull off. Other than that, I think just the fact that most people don't want to run a server, we just need to recognize that fact. It's not going to change very fast, and I think home nodes don't really affect that a lot because Lightning nodes like to be well connected and in the cloud in the best case, or on a VPS or something. Although home nodes really do work if you have a stable internet connection. And lastly, I think there is the ugly truth about Bitcoin is that there's around 40,000 people or so that use Lightning. That number isn't growing that much. So why don't we have 400,000 people using Lightning? Should be, the meta question around it. The number of Bitcoiners is just growing very slowly. The number of people who use Bitcoin for payments instead of just ETFs and stacking and whatever. So I think that's probably the strongest factor explaining why not many more people use Lightning.
Alex?
I mean, the question was, why don't people want to run Lightning nodes?
Yeah, why don't people run their own Lightning nodes if it's never been easier?
Well, why would somebody want to run a Lightning node first? What are you talking about as why aren't there more hobbyists trying to become routers, or why aren't there more people spinning up new Lightning nodes just to receive money?
Both.
So for the why aren't there more hobbyists trying to spin up routing nodes is because, it's high effort and you're probably going to lose money. It's still high effort. It's easy to spin up a new node, but if you're going to run a routing node as a hobbyist, you really have to be checking your channels every day. It's hard, and by default, you will lose money because there's people trying to siphon your liquidity, and you can make money off of people that don't know what they're doing running Lightning nodes. So that's maybe one reason why you wouldn't want to run one as a hobbyist Lightning router. For the end user, it's really easy to spin up a Lightning wallet, but to receive money, the incumbent system that people are used to for receiving money is effortless. Zero effort. And in my opinion, in order to really compete for people in swaths that don't care about money that much, we have to compete on that UX. We have to be effortless. We can't just be easy. So,
someone helping with the UX and many more things. Evan, these guys sound kind of bearish on Lightning, huh?
Fucking doomers.
Yo,
realists.
The question was negative.
Yeah.
Come on, is it a better
is
it a better payment experience going to the App Store and hitting Start Wallet, or is it a better payment experience going to the bank and bringing all your identification and proving your income or whatever the hell? I mean, listen, We have a lot of work to do, but there are definitely advantages in our UX that we need to highlight and lean into. The fact that you can spin up a wallet with a few clicks, put a Lightning address in your profile and start receiving funds from people all over the world without KYC, that's amazing, and we got to lean into that. The reality, though, is that our ecosystem is super, super tiny right now. And the resources that the average person has is obfuscated by all the noise out there. The advertising from the exchanges, which are really shitcoin casinos, I want to point you towards the latest shitcoin so that they can make fees off the transactions, the trading volume. The news being inundated with stuff like the ETFs or the latest treasury company. And lastly, just not enough places to spend it. Like, how many places in Berlin can we find to spend Bitcoin at? 10, maybe 20 tops. You probably can't live off it here unless you like going to the same, handful of restaurants every day. And we need to make, efforts to improving that.
Is the reason why more people aren't running their own node because your company's so good, Michael? Is it just because I have this recurring theme that every time something's working in Bitcoin and Lightning, you pull off the mask, as in by asking more and more questions, and underneath it's just Michael from Bolts every single time. Is this why no one's actually running their own Lightning node because you don't need to anymore? You just use Michael. Is that it?
It's all my database. That's the answer for it. No, but seriously, you were asking that why aren't people running more Lightning nodes when it has never been easier? It's because the alternatives that you don't have to run one have never been better. With like Cashew, Fedimint, Liquid Swaps, Spark, Arcs, there is so many more things that connect you to Lightning for which you don't have to run your own node. And even if you were to run node, like for example with Zeus embedded, those don't show up in the public metrics because they are like private and don't announce themselves to everyone. And why would you? Because as everybody is saying, running a Lightning routing node that's publicly announcing itself of, hey, I'm here, just fucking sucks in every single way. Like you either lose money via force closes or until your SSD dies and then all your money is gone unless you pray you have the static channel backup stored somewhere. And that's just a horrendous experience for everyone.
As a user, Rita, who do you most agree with here and why?
Well, is it working? Yeah. Okay. Well, everyone has its fair point. I agree that the UX part needs to be improved a lot more. And one of the tools that I actually love using the most was Phoenix, mainly because Lightning there is kind of under the hood. You don't really have to understand what you are doing and what is going on. It is just there. It's super fast. It's super simple. And you don't have to understand, like, what are the channels? How do you close it in the right way? How do you open it in the right way? What are all of those dozens of operations that you need to do? So, like, the UX simplicity, that it is just working by itself magically under the hood, is really the key to people using Lightning more.
Phoenix is one of my favorite apps, but it has some friction, especially when you're teaching new users about Lightning. If you want to tip a waiter or something, and you tip them on Phoenix, they're going to take a decent cut of the fees to open a channel, right? To give you some inbound liquidity.
So there should be like UI tips or something like that for people, like, hey, this is this. If you want fast, use this. If you want on-chain, explain in few words what's that. And
we had that exact problem with our local bar at the Bitcoin meetup, where we just had the waiter install Phoenix, and then everybody paid their beers with Lightning to them, and every single one of those payments was an on-chain splice in, and those costs do add up.
What? Because the channel wasn't ready yet?
I have no idea why, but that was the situation we ended up with.
Is that
so
better
the on-chain
UX?
fees were super high at that moment, and that's why
Yeah, not super crazy high, but like if you do 10 of those splice ins over the evening, it adds up.
I want to say something controversial.
Sure.
I think it's a really bad idea to onboard someone onto Bitcoin with a non-custodial Lightning wallet.
Yes.
Like, I'm a I've been using these tools myself for a very long time, don't get me wrong, but just this, you're going to lose money with your first transaction. It's going to be super fast in the second transaction, but the first one really takes like an hour or so. And this whole, if you lose it, then everything is gone, and where do I export it? How do I restore it? All this is so much information for someone who just wants like $5 worth of Bitcoin, for example. So.
Well, this is why Wallet of Satoshi became so popular for so long, because it didn't have that the fee for you tipping your waiter, or there wasn't a cut being taken seemingly.
Yeah,
but that's not proper Lightning, right?
And it's username and password, which is also something, I'm the first guy who criticizes these login methods all day long, but this is something that you don't need to explain to anyone. Everyone knows how username and password works, or email and password, and people don't even care about their password because they know that they're going to be able to restore it when they lose it. So it's like they put in like a random password, not even saving it somewhere, because they know that there's this emergency button. And with all these options that we've talked about, you don't have that. You need to be like super sharp from the first second on and not make any mistakes, basically, and then you're good. So, but for onboarding, I think this is just, you want to receive money. That's all you want to know. All you want to do. You don't want to learn anything. You don't want to get a PhD in fucking Bitcoin to receive your first payment.
But if you do want to get a PhD in Bitcoin, please keep coming to Bitcoin Plus Plus events. It's the best way to further your Bitcoin technical education. Thank you.
Yeah, removing the fear factor really matters, because a lot of people are really scared to lose their funds if they do something wrong.
Well, and rightfully so.
I think it just comes back to like what Alex said. Like, people just expect like, I received the money. That's it. Like, somebody who's confronted with what is receiving liquidity. What do you mean on-chain versus off-chain? Like, this channel has to be set up first. It's just so departed from their expected experience. Like, that is the worst way to try and onboard somebody. Like, Kalle is entirely right. Like, that is the fastest way in the universe to create an impression in someone's mind that Bitcoin is a convoluted, overly complex thing that is completely counterintuitive to all their expectations, and you are going to make it harder to get that person to adopt Bitcoin in any way in the future, or anybody that they talk to and share that experience with. It's just the absolute wrong way to start somebody off. Like, 100%.
What's the right way then? What's the right way?
I want to
graduated wallets like Evan is building.
I want to answer that question by a question to Evan, actually, something that I didn't ask after your talk, if you allow me.
Sure.
Which is, do you think, you know this concept of annealing or simulate annealing, which is like cooling a magnet down slowly, and if you do it slowly, it gets like, it's more stable. Okay. Versus if you do it fast, then it's unstable. So I wonder if you think that you onboarding someone through a graduated experience, basically with zero information first, you receive money and you're done, and then slowly you increase the pressure. Basically saying like, now you have 15, 20, 30, you should now learn about this, like click this button, did you read this? Yes, okay, then you can receive more. So going step by step by forcing the user to not understand anything in the beginning and then forcing them to understand slowly more and more, do you think that creates like a more stable Bitcoiner?
God, you're a nerd.
100%. And listen, on the other side of the spectrum, the financial elites that are trying to take all our rights away and enrich themselves as much as possible use that very tactic. Gradualism, right? Like, the analogy everyone brings up is boiling frogs in a pot, right? If you turn up the temperature very slowly, eventually it's just going to get to a point where they just stay in there and they get cooked. But if you turn up the temperature right away, it gets really hot suddenly, they get the fuck out of that pot. So in the same regard, we need to think of how we turn on the pressure, the heat, very, very gradually, as to not have our frogs jump out of the pot.
I kind of want to come out of here left field and go back to something like an offhand remark you made a minute ago, Walton. Like, that's not using Lightning properly. I want to ask the question, like, what the hell do you mean Lightning in the first place? Like, if you really look at what it is as a protocol, like the way a channel is structured and the pre-signed transactions that make it up, or the gossip protocol that's used to inform everybody the channels available on the network they can route through, or a million other individual components like HTLCs being used to route payments across multiple channels. All of these are things that can be individually like taken and replaced and done differently. So like if you slowly piecemeal change these individual things until everything is different, it's the ship of Theseus. Like, is that still Lightning? Like, and I think this fixation on like the shape of Lightning and how it works now and how it's implemented now or how you should use it now is a complete red herring question. Because at the end of the day, every single component of the protocol can be replaced piecemeal and done in a different way. And we should appreciate that and actually be doing that in a way that learns from the friction points users encounter, that deal with the problems that actually discourage users from using it. Like
when I said not real use of Lightning, I mean that I think it's a common misconception amongst a lot of Bitcoiners, probably not those in this room, but the Lightning network growth is driven by people zapping each other on Nostr when actually those payments are often between the same custodian. That's what I mean by not real Lightning payments. Ones that aren't actually on the Lightning network, right? They're on a layer above, if you will.
I would beg the question, like, would that also apply to your mind to users of Spark or an Arc implementation? Like, those things are trivial to make compatible and interoperable with Lightning, but are those now a part of Lightning, or are they their own independent thing?
Is Arc custodial, or is it self-custodial?
Well, Arc is a clear no to that, but Spark, like, that's an ambiguous gray area. Like, it's like
state chains have trade-offs.
So, like, I think we should stop fixating on these like purity tests and whether something is or is not Lightning. Does it work for a user? Does it provide value and utility to a user that they were missing in their life otherwise? And does it compose with all of the other aspects of this?
Yeah, maybe another way of saying this is like, is Lightning the end? Like, what are we trying to do here? Lightning is a tool, just like Bitcoin is a tool. But like, what is the end that we're going for? Like, I'd say it's something that approximates like saving people from weak money. So how can we get people to use strong money faster and not get hurt? And Lightning is a phenomenal tool in that direction. But yeah, like the Lightning itself, just it's not the end. It's just it's a means to get to something more impactful.
Completely agree that like Lightning is not the end goal here. It's the means to an end, and it's the best tool we have at our disposal right now. But if in 10 years' time we have something nicer or replaced all of the parts with a next generation, that'd be fine too.
Yeah, every tool exists of many components, and if you upgrade each one of those components, it doesn't mean that it's a different tool. Like if HTLCs are going to be upgraded to PTLCs, like it's not going to be not Lightning anymore. It's just going to be like points instead of hash time lock contract.
To me, one of the reasons I love Lightning is because unlike on chain, if you run a Lightning node, you get paid for spam, right? I get the people send me those one sat messages, and I'm like, oh, thanks for that sat, thanks for that sat. And it's not dust because sats don't really exist. That's just on Lightning.
Channel jamming's a problem. let's be real. You just don't see it.
But jokes aside, routing nodes are able to earn real yield in Bitcoin terms, in self-custodied Bitcoin, and yet this yield increasingly comes from institutions deploying their capital with Lightning custodians.
I'm actually very skeptical in the long term that can be a material source of income. I think like you see a very, very fat-tailed curve where like the largest nodes with the best connection in the network and a lot of capital deployed can actually see a decent return on things, but that drops off very rapidly the minute you start going out into more sparse, disconnected parts of the network. And like that is just going to be a hyper-competitive thing. Like those yields, I think in the long term will be driven down to absolutely nothing, because like these large players will look at this as, oh, I can just park my money here, some specialist like Lightspark who knows what they're doing can deploy it on the network and earn some income, and it's going to be a race to the bottom very quickly, and ultimately I think just become kind of the like lowest risk benchmark yield. Like that will be what people will settle for if they are very risk intolerant. Like they do not want to take any risk with their money to earn a return on it. This will be the place they can park it and know that that risk is very minimal, but that yield will also be very low. So I think that's not a viable revenue strategy in the long term, trying to earn money off of Lightning. I think services like what Michael does with Bolts and more direct monetized tooling like that is going to be where any substantial yield comes from in the network in the long term, I think.
Yeah, and like also Lightning is not risk-free to run a routing node especially. It might be considered low risk compared to like custodial lending platforms and yield things, but there's still quite a bit of risk to it because it's a goddamn hot wallet in the cloud somewhere, and there's also implementation risk of like your Lightning node implementation, just having a bug. And there is responsible disclosures of grave bugs all the time. Like there is actual risk there to have all your stash in a hot wallet, in a cloud, in a hugely complex application with bunch of state, with a database you can't properly back up beforehand and not really live. There is risk there, bunch of risk. So it's not risk-free at all.
Shout out Lightning Fuzz.
Risk-free.
Quote unquote, compared to BlockFi maybe, but not in general.
Nothing is risk-free.
Yeah, there's no such thing as risk-free interest in Bitcoin. There's always risk. Lightning routing might be on the lower end, but there is still like non-substantial, not negligible risk. I wouldn't put my whole cold stack into a Lightning routing node.
100% agree. I
Where
don't
would
think
you
that
put it?
running a Lightning node is risk-free at all. It's just the fact that you can lose your database and you're wrecked is basically just, it's a no-go. You can't just back up
All
the
right,
seed phrase and be okay.
we added scare quotes. All right, the scare quotes have been appended.
Yeah.
Also, there's no money in routing. No offense. Like, if you're going to run a routing node, like it's already virtually free to route payments on Lightning, which is phenomenal for users. Like, we can send payments anywhere in the world for free, basically. The only way to make money in routing is if your inbound's free.
Yeah, which is the case for like the crazy yield numbers that have been circling around. They make those numbers because their inbound is free. And there might be a couple players out there generating decent yield, but it's like they have very special positioning, and it's a not fiercely competitive market right now, where only a few people know where exactly to put themselves in the network to make it work. But once those spots are known, it's like a fierce competition and driven to zero.
So do these inbound, outbound liquidity requirements naturally drive centralization of the Lightning Network over time, and will this institutional deployment of capital like hyper catalyze that process?
I think there's just always going to be a natural drive towards centralization with something like Lightning. I mean, it really, from a topological point of view, mirrors the internet in a lot of ways. And I don't think that means it's just going to like forever get more and more centralized until there's like one big super node. But there will always be those players who are a lot more central in the network topology than others, like just like the internet. You know, there might be thousands of different ASNs across the world, but you still have very dominant systems like, you know, Amazon, like Comcast, like other higher tiered networks that are like the bulk of the connectivity and where things route through. But the internet is still not a place, despite that, where you can just flip it off right away, or one of those players can prevent other pathways or channels of communication through it. It's just efficiency. And, you know, looking at the internet as an example, like we've kind of settled in a place where we've leaned into that centralization a good degree to get the benefits of that efficiency, but not so much that the robustness and the redundancy that keeps the internet a free and open place have disappeared. So it's that balancing act.
Even email?
Yeah.
All right, email might be an example
No.
where we just lost that one.
My bad.
I actually think Lightning is almost a bit better than the internet. I would agree that there are centralization forces going on because just of the efficiency gains of having a well-capitalized node. You know, it's economics driving centralization, and I think that was expected. However, the fact that anyone can join the Lightning Network as on the same playing field as all the other nodes is something special. That is not the case on the internet at all. You cannot just be your own AS or start, you know, propagating DNS or whatever. All these special roles that the internet has developed over the decades that are not accessible for any one person. Also, you cannot just, I mean, you can always host your own server, but first of all, you need an IP address that someone gives you, and you also need an ISP to even talk to the internet, right? So the internet seems like much more, like there are many more gates to become an internet player, whereas in Lightning, I think even if we have centralization forces, the fact that you can just spin up a node and you don't need to register with anyone, that you don't need to talk to anyone, you don't need to call anyone, you are a node and you connect to someone, and they typically accept your channel, which is something that we should be aware of how much that is actually worth. Even if it makes routing a bit more inefficient, and we've seen in René's talk previously, you know, the edge nodes have a harder time in being, you know, good payment routers. But the fact that we still allow that, and we should keep allowing that as long as we go, and we should work on more privacy features so that the difference between a big node with a well-capitalized company behind and a pleb node, which is an individual's person node at home maybe, so that the differences between those two on a privacy level get smaller and smaller, so that there's less opportunity for discrimination on the network, basically. So as long as we keep on pushing that ethos, that's a kind of a social thing as well, because Lightning could have been like a club of the rich nodes like BitVMX and Phoenix and whatever, and you know, you can use Lightning, but only hop one, you know, then you need to connect to one of the big ones, or for example. The fact that we have onion routing makes it very hard for them to close off the system, right? So if we keep pushing the privacy features, then that also means that we can make sure that Lightning can exist into the future as a equal system where everyone can participate.
But I think the important thing is that the privacy features, they got to come first. You can't expect to bolt them on later.
100% agree.
We're kind of doing that now, though, with blinded paths. They are being bolted on as we speak.
Well, I mean, let's poke a little fun at Tage here, and I'll say I'm very, very happy that his proposal to not do onion routing at first and try to add it later is not what we did, because given the current state of players in the network, like Lightspark, all of these big businesses getting on board, I don't think we would have been able to add that afterwards.
Right.
Is the Lightning Network over-reliant on Tor for privacy?
From a theoretical point of view, yes, but you know, it's really hard to run a reliable node over Tor. Like the payment reliability goes way down, the latency for payments goes way up. I know a lot of very privacy-focused people that don't run their node over Tor. Like mine is just through a conventional proxy over ClearNet. It's just really, really hard to get the reliability you need for, you know, high success payments or high payment success rate over Tor. It's just too unstable of a system.
Yeah, Tor is fun in games for loading websites. A little bit of HTML and CSS, that's fun in games. But long-lived, high like interactivity TCP connections for Lightning peer-to-peer gossip and sending onions around, like just speaking from experience, it just doesn't work out well in the long run. You're gonna run into flakiness eventually, and then you sit there rebooting everything and praying your next circuit is gonna be better.
My favorite Lightning node doesn't like Tor, right, Evan?
Your favorite Lightning wallet.
What did I say? Sorry.
Node.
Node,
But,
my apologies. My favorite Lightning
yeah,
wallet
Walton,
and
Walton.
node management tool.
Yeah, Walton's had a lot of issues connecting to his node remotely using Tor. Oh boy! Thank God we got a lot of alternatives. We got to talk about a couple of them this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I think a more interesting or probably like important question is just, is the world relying too much on Tor for privacy at the network level? And it's like, absolutely. Like Tor is the only thing we got as a, like even remotely an antidote at this point that's being used widely in production. Like, you know, we should have better mix nets and improve on Tor, but yeah, you're gonna challenge that.
NIM is a promising looking direction for something to really compete with Tor and bring like a degree of robustness that's been hard for that. Yes, it is, and
Does it have a
I have
token
made
associated
many,
with it?
many criticisms over that decision to the team over the years, but it has
We're
been
furthering
distracting.
stereotypes right now, you know, promoting these things. Callie, you seem to be disagreeing with Alex that the Tor is all we've got.
I don't know why everyone is so bearish on Tor. Tor is, I think, pretty cool. I mean, I have other critique about Tor, not the reliability, the fact that it has centralized registry basically, and you know that's a problem. And then there is something like NIM that tries to solve that with a shitcoin instead of a centralized registry, which is also not an ideal solution, obviously. There's I2P, which is also getting more and more popular, also supported by Bitcoin D, and generally the interest for mixnet seems to be growing. And I mean, we shouldn't forget that Tor was basically invented by the US secret military three-letter agencies, and we're just their cover traffic at this point. So they can hide in our masses. But you know, the fact that this network supports almost all of Bitcoin, plus almost all of dissidents in the world, and many more people that try to escape the Chinese firewalls, the Russian intranets, is simply amazing to me. That this thing works is amazing, but I would agree that it hasn't much improved in the last decade or so. So I don't think that we're over-reliant on Tor at all. It feels like we should use it more and try to improve it more. And if it's not Tor, then it should be one of these alternative systems. But the idea that we can build a second layer on top of the internet that can hide our traffic, I think is extremely valuable and will be something in the future that we will keep using that for a long time.
Can we help improve Tor by fixing some of the incentives with Lightning and Cashew?
Right. So one of the things I think many of us appreciate is how network topologies change based on their incentives. I don't know how many of you are familiar with LTOR, a relatively new project, guy out of Texas trying to incentivize people to run Tor nodes, right? And get paid.
Yeah, started as a Bitcoin++ hackathon project, actually.
It did indeed,
yeah,
sir.
Nice.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there is the Tor network is every now and then the Tor network is under attack. Everyone probably knows that somehow, has felt that with the Lightning node, for example. And Tor actually has implemented proof of work a couple versions ago to mitigate the issue. I recently was told this story by one of the contributors there that this whole war started with darknet markets, two darknet markets waging war towards each other on the Tor network, trying to take out the other darknet market to gain like dominance there. So it wasn't probably like a state-sponsored attack. It's just literally drug dealers doing their thing.
Fist fighting on the internet.
Be a normal person and go buy drugs from someone on the street. Like, buying it on the internet is retarded.
Not recommended. But so what Tor then did is they took a look at Bitcoin and implemented proof of work in their protocol. So the rationality here is when they wage war on the Tor network, everything stops working. So it's strictly better to exclude a bunch of phones and JavaScript Tor clients that cannot compete with servers by imposing proof of work. So you as a Tor service, you can just say, now this is getting a bit too crazy, I need proof of work for my packages now. And then you kind of exclude 50% of the users maybe, just making up that number. But at least the other 50% gets to enjoy your service. So all of this is we know, like if you close the hash cache loop again, it started with Adam Beck. email spam, Satoshi looks at it, puts it into a Satoshi, like into a SAT, using proof of work. And then we start using Satoshis again to mitigate spam. I think this is a beautiful circle. So I think it's a great idea to use Bitcoin to help out these anonymous systems that clearly need some rate limiting. But I think that Lightning is not the best way to do it. And the reason for that is that Lightning is great when it works, but it's really bad if it doesn't work. And for these systems, you need something that just always works. You can send, like, you're downloading a video, and it works like for 10 minutes, and then an HTLC gets stuck, and now you have to like wait for 2 weeks until it
So what you're saying is you need offline payments, and that maybe there's something in this ecosystem that provides that. Is that right, Callie?
Yeah, I can think of a few things. I mean, obviously an eCash payment will always work, but there are also other, layered systems on top of Bitcoin that don't have this issue where you have timeouts, basically, like HTLCs that need to time out somehow in order to resolve a conflict.
Arc could be an answer.
Like Arc
could be an answer.
Yeah.
Yes. So, but with, I have issues. Arc is going to be a very centralized service. We should not build the Tor network using Arc, I think.
Well, I think there's a deeper problem to confront here. And I think just ideologically, like most of the people who contribute to Tor are not fans of capitalism. They're not fans of interjecting monetary aspects and incentives into systems like this. So even if we can technologically figure out a way to deal with this problem, will the team be motivated to actually implement or integrate anything, or will they fight or resist that on ideological grounds?
I wouldn't make like a bad faith argument about that. I think it's fairly reasonable to assume that you have a system that is supposed to serve everyone, and then now you want to limit it to 40,000 people. That's the number of Bitcoiners in the world. So
exact number.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not sure. You can put a price tag on everything, but there's first of all there's differences in the world. U.S. American person and I don't know whatever somewhere else, and they are supposed to pay the same price for this service. One problem. The other problem is not everyone has Bitcoin. That's actually the biggest problem. We could solve spam issues for so many systems out there using Bitcoin, but there are not enough Bitcoiners to make it worthwhile.
I mean, philosophically, it's also just a growing worry is that you have this paradox where the price has to be high enough to discourage spam traffic, but it also has to be low enough that it really doesn't affect the user. And I'm terrified that those numbers are actually inverted, where the price that's too high for spammers to overcome is actually higher than the amount that is going to not affect the user experience. So I'm not so sure we really have a solution that will work at this scale.
But you're looking on the base layer?
No, I mean anything. Just anything that's just paying to reduce spam. I mean,
you want to send a message, and how much is that going to cost you? Let's say it's 1 cent. Is it worth 1 cent for a message? Maybe yes. Yeah, but is it worth $1 for 100 spam messages for a spammer? Probably yes too. So
for
that's not a
$100,
good price.
I can take you down. Yeah.
So yeah.
Is the current low-fee environment evidence of little demand for Bitcoin transactions, or is it evidence that Lightning is already scaling to meet the needs of its users?
I think it's the latter. I think clearly a large amount of transactional use has slowly shifted over the last few years onto the Lightning Network, and that's just looking at the payment data from a number of companies who've integrated Lightning. Just my anecdotal experience, I almost never make an on-chain transaction for something these days anymore. And it's like, this is what we were hoping for. It's just kind of the question of how long is it going to take for Javon's paradox to play out in terms of using the resource that is block space more efficiently, driving that huge jump in demand for it. And it's a couple of us have said this up here, it's just not enough people own Bitcoin, and that is the core of almost every problem as far as the lack of transactional use. Somebody needs to be able or want to receive it. Like the person paying them needs to have it to give it to them. And I think that just boils down to like we are not very densely packed together geographically, but everyone keeps fixating on like these narratives or attempts to push people to use Bitcoin in meat space, like go buy your coffee or eat out at a restaurant or things like that with it, as opposed to trying to create digital economies where that geographic density isn't a problem. Like you're on the internet, you can pay or receive any digital good or service from anyone on the internet. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. And I really think if we want to kind of see that manifestation of Bitcoin as a means of exchange actually happen, we need to focus on where it's logical, which is the internet, not in person. Like it's just, there's not enough of us in the same place to actually bootstrap that means of exchange use.
Do you want to repeat the question? Because I do think you answered it, but you also were a little bit off there.
Wild card.
So is it the low? Is the current low fee environment evidence of little demand for Bitcoin transactions, or evidence that Lightning is already scaling to meet the needs of its users?
Can it be both?
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, I think everybody not paying for their coffee on chain is probably contributing to some degree.
Porque no los dos.
Yeah. So.
But did it happen to you that the Lightning transaction was costing a lot more than on-chain one?
Yep.
Because it did happen to me several times.
Happens all the time.
Yeah,
So
all
if
the time.
the amount is high enough and you pay a percentage fee instead of a flat 30 sats, easy.
Yeah, so then why would people prefer Lightning when it's more expensive than
Immediate
on-chain? I would rather
finality,
wait.
right?
Well, yeah,
The immediate finality is important UX in a payment.
Well, sometimes it's like double, triple, quadruple more expensive.
Wait, are you talking about
significantly.
like when you hit like a channel open, or just like a normal payment where like the
Sometimes like a normal payment.
Yeah.
And with a channel, it's even more.
When you have like a really bad liquidity situation, like in some nodes.
No, like come on. Like,
You're sending like a few million
No,
sats, you mean like on Lightning rather than on chain?
You're getting abused if you're paying more for a Lightning payment that's not opening a channel than.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the strategy incentive of a routing node operator to maximize their revenue. So they are going to play games where they try to tactically arrange their channels or push fee rates in one direction or another to their benefit.
I mean, then
Like
you should
that's-
use a different wallet. That's not a
guys, seriously, like an on-chain payment right now at .1 sat per VBAT is like how much? 50 sats or something? Like you easily pay tens of thousands of sats for huge Lightning payments. Easily.
Yep.
Like this happens all the time. This is not some outrageous node like basically robbing you with crazy outrageous fees. That's just the way it is right now. Big Lightning payments, you pay good money for them.
I mean, I think like this narrative of like Lightning being super cheap to use is just a huge mistake as a narrative, in the exact same way that that narrative was crafted about on-chain transactions 10 years ago. Like we can't make that promise. And like this example of like fluky things like this, even when on-chain fee rates are non-existent, like it's just an inherent consequence of the liquidity dynamics of how the network functions. But like project forward another 10 years, like think of higher fee rates, a more mature fee market. Like at the end of the day, the fees that you pay on Lightning are going to have to recoup the on-chain costs that Lightning node operators experience, or the entire thing is economically unsustainable. So like just making this promise that Lightning will always be cheap payments, it's just not reality. And we're doing the exact same thing we did 10 years ago when everybody just assumed we would increase the block size when fees, like when we hit that limit and fees went up. We're creating the exact same problem of laying these false expectations down. And then when reality goes, no, like you're wrong, you're gonna have a bunch of people like who've plugged into this system, gotten used to using it, like assuming it's gonna work like this forever, and then reality kicks in.
I mean, I feel the whole point of Lightning is that you have fixed upfront capital costs for an indefinite number of payments through that capital. You deploy once, and then you get to reuse it over and over again. And I think the mature version of Lightning will adhere to that strength. Like if we're having to cover on-chain costs all the time and we're moving liquidity around, then that doesn't seem like a sustainable future state for.
Well,
for
so are we talking about the magical economy in the future where everybody receives exactly as much money as they pay constantly? Like it's always going to have a directional push in one direction that has to be rebalanced. And ultimately, like you can delay it, you can play balancing games, but at the end of the day, like when you've exhausted all of those options, you are going to have to interact with the base layer on chain to deal with the consequences of that directional push.
And pay your 30 sats.
For now.
But these seemingly competing ideas are even published in Fidelity's report on the Lightning Network, where two key takeaways. One of the key takeaways, they said a well-optimized participant in the Lightning Network can see transaction fees as low as 0% and payment completion times of less than half a second. But they also make one of the key takeaways that Lightning can be viewed as a yield-bearing network that does not require users to give up the control of their Bitcoin. How can you have 0% fees and yield? You can't have both, right? It's obviously... These are extreme limits.
Zero, like 0.0001.
Well, see, you have to look at that from two directions, like the fee the user is paying, and from that perspective, but then also like what is a node operator actually receiving in terms of profit? Like, you know, the fees can be very high from the user's perspective, but if most of that is the node operator just recouping their cost of interacting on chain, like they're not actually making
I don't think that's a fair
yield and
characterization. I don't think it's a fair characterization. I think the majority of the time that users are paying a lot is because they are using a wallet that has a Lightning node with one channel to somebody that's overcharging them because they can.
Well, I'm talking like projecting out higher fees.
All right, guys. Well, enough on fees for a minute. I have one further question, and then we have a couple more minutes for questions from the audience. The growth of the Lightning Network, and this is something that is difficult to measure, right? You don't know what the total transaction volume is. It is going to be driven by a number of different factors as we move forwards. How much of it is going to be driven by things like eCash and Arc and other tools that are actually about Bitcoin, versus how much of it is going to be driven by assets on Lightning? And is this a real problem? When we look at the Lightning Network moving forward, does the growth come from a base that is increasingly prone to regulatory attack?
I mean, the speculation, like either way, but I think looking at the reality on the ground, that the transactional use of things like stable coins far exceeds people transacting natively with an asset like Bitcoin. That, you know, if we actually do see, you know, deployment and issuance of stable coins on Bitcoin and see that link into the Lightning Network as a settlement mechanism, that probably will be the primary driver of any growth or revenue increases for node operators on Lightning. It's
like
just,
stable channels?
Shout out Tony, let's go.
Yes. I would prefer if it was stable channels, but I think the reality is it's going to be things like tether tokens issued and then just having like the channel do the atomic swap between some service provider to forward the payment in Bitcoin.
Everybody and their mother is starting a new stablecoin protocol, for the record.
Yeah.
Seems like every week there's a new one.
If you would like to start your own stablecoin thing, I think you can just go to Tether for funding, right? Isn't that something like that?
I'm curious to hear from Callie. How much do you think about the regulatory burden that mint operators in the future will have to bear?
No comment.
The one thing I'm not exactly sold on yet is when you have these stablecoins on Bitcoin, why would you want to have them and use them on Bitcoin in the first place?
Oh, Tether's going to do an RGB.
Yeah, but like, why wouldn't you use the Tether chain, the Plasma thing? What's the advantage of using it over Lightning with all its intrinsic downsides?
My skin's crawling right now. I have no idea. I'm not the person to answer.
You're asking the wrong person.
All of us,
Never
yeah.
above.
I think it's very much an example of a solution looking for a problem. Like, a stable coin is centralized at the end of the day. It's worthless the instant the issuer won't redeem your coins or starts playing funny games. Like, whether it's on an SQL database, like something like Solana or the Bitcoin blockchain, it's utterly, completely irrelevant.
Exactly. Like, why do we need a permissionless network to transfer around IOU tokens of someone's bank account?
Mm-hmm. I mean, like charitably, I think the only straw man you could make is if you look at things like RGB or Taproot assets, you can make the argument that how those protocols are structured technologically, it would make it a lot more difficult to do things like have the selective ability to like freeze or seize a specific user's coins, because this is all client-side data. Like, none of it's explicitly recorded on chain. But, you know, again, like, there's no reason you can't architect systems like that that provide privacy in a similar way that don't connect to Bitcoin at all.
Yeah, I'd love to be proven wrong. I'm just not entirely sold on the concept of stable coins driving Lightning Network growth yet.
I mean, there's huge demand for dollars around the world. I mean, places that don't have access to dollars want dollars.
Yeah, but why Lightning? Sounds retarded.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, yeah.
And a huge amount of people who don't want volatility.
Yeah, but it's not the dollars.
I think generally, like the stable coins, I mean, I see two reasons. First, shitcoining. That's one thing that drives it. Printing money is fun for some people. Secondly is people don't like to control their infrastructure. So it gives them like a better time in front of court when you can say like, oh, I don't control Tron. I can't like, you know, I can't control whether this person sends my asset to that person because it's all on this public infrastructure. So there is also, that's also one reason why people want to build on something like Bitcoin, but they could also just take one of the other kind of phantom decentralized systems where you can just throw your hands up and say like, oh, I didn't know about this eventually. But I agree that it's a huge LARP because as long as you can freeze these assets with a click of a button, then it becomes a kind of a clown show.
The synthetic dollars are cooler because you don't freeze them, you just get exposure to them.
Let's hear some questions from the audience before we wrap up this panel.
People are speechless.
They should have enough of Shinobi talking, maybe.
Yeah, so a comment and a question. First off, I'll say that report was not the Fidelity report.
It was in partnership with Voltage. My bad. Okay.
Fidelity
okay.
Digital Assets in partnership with Voltage.
Yes,
Thank you. I had a question. So I was at a Presidio Bitcoin for Bitcoin Design Week last week, and Christoph Ono from the design community had an interesting idea. He's been really drilling into the fees problem lately, and just kind of exactly what you all have been talking about kind of unexpected fees that pop up, whether it's on-chain or larger than normal Lightning payments. And he kind of did this analysis of like, you know, remittance companies, not Bitcoin, like remittance companies, and just found that their advertising just goes hard on fees. Like gigantic letters saying like, we are the lowest, we save you so much on fees. We're like 0.1% fees. They just like, that's all they do is just go hard on their low fees. And then you look at all the Bitcoin products and they're always like, yeah, we're a simple wallet with low fees. And it's just like really like kind of passive and weak. And so he was trying to think like, could there be a company that kind of like you prepay for some kind of plan and you know, your fees are kind of, you know, kept under control with your Lightning service provider. I'm not sure how it would work on a technical level, but I'd just be curious, any thoughts? Is that the sort of thing an LSP could implement?
I mean, I don't see any way you could do that without like hedging and creating some kind of derivative product where like you could actually find a counterparty willing to like trade against what your fee expectation.
Can we hear from the guy that runs an LSP?
Yeah, that's about literally my thought. The universe sent it. Evan, come on. The guy that actually runs an LSP, rather than
there are some ways, but I'm not sure people would want to accept all the trade-offs. I mean, either you're shifting risk around, you don't necessarily have to turn into a derivative, even though that'd be the sexy way to do it. Or you introduce more components of trust to help the cost down. I mean, there's countless ways to do it. And Yeah, I mean, we already have a subscription service, Zeus Pay Plus, that gives you a discount on LSP services. You could definitely fix costs in various ways. I think the whole space in terms of these service providers is just getting started and is going to mature by leaps and bounds in the coming years. So,
I think fees aren't a problem. Unpopular opinion, but who cares about 100 sats fees or 200 sats fees or 0.2% fees or 0.5% fees? I mean, our competition is literally trash. So I don't think that anyone said like, oh, I won't use Bitcoin because the fees are too high. This like in intermediate episodes where 4 megas hit the chain every 10 minutes or something, then we get into those problems. But to me, this feels like incredible technology, and I'm like happy to pay fees for using Bitcoin. I kind of assume that it's the same for everyone here. So maybe this is just like a non-argument. Maybe this is something that really doesn't affect too many people.
yeah, I mean, honestly, like the bar is so low. Like, we don't have to be perfect. We don't have to have 0 fees. We just have to be better than the incumbents. And then you have people like the Steak and Shake COO going out and saying, hey guys, we implemented Bitcoin, it cut our processing costs in half. That's huge. That's all we need. We just need to be twice as good as what exists now.
In all fairness, though, Steak and Shake was a receiver of Lightning payments and the sender pays the fees. So...
In a wallet UI, in cases if Lightning fees are too high, it would be great if the UI can kind of detect it and maybe give you alternate ways how to send Bitcoin at this exact moment. Maybe use some other tool.
Maybe you could use Cashew.
Or Cashew or some RGB coin conversion or like whatever the hell else, because like this would help users to see that like this is unreasonably high amount right now to send, and if they don't want to send on-chain and wait 10 minutes, they would have this and that alternative.
Right. Have a price breakdown across the different layers.
Maybe.
Unified QR codes help.
Definitely.
On-chain and Bolt 12.
QR code.
Well, yeah, you need to be able to decide which payment rail you're going to use. Like you want to scan once and then have like the best option to be chosen for you in the best case without having to have a PhD in fucking Bitcoin.
Yeah, or simplify it like to bare minimum.
I have a question. So there's a really cool Zeus hackathon prize, which the goal is to enable discovering of trusted mints in Zeus. And Evan knows about cashewmints.space, but in cashew.me, Callie, there's a very cool feature called Discover Mints. And I've been told that there's something called KYM, and Know Your Mint. And so my question is, can you explain Know Your Mint to Evan and how it searches Nostr for recommendation for cashew mints? Thanks.
Roasted. Well, I would run into the risk of repeating. Not myself, but someone has actually done that after his talk. So thank you for your question, but you should have watched this talk.
Education happens incredibly fast here at Bitcoin++, and this was the scaling Lightning panel. I think the way we scale Lightning is by having more and more Bitcoin++. So I'd like to firstly thank all of you audience that came to this panel. Bitcoin++ and panel discussions wouldn't be the same without all of you. But also please give a round of applause for my panel, Alex, Lewin, Callie, Shinobi, Evan, Michael from Bolt, and Rita. I'm Walton. Thank you very much.
Oh, you should.
Berlin, the city where walls fell and freedom rose. This storm is more than thunder, it's code, alive, unstoppable. Through rain and shadows we run, forged by fire, forged by freedom. Because now, the current is ours. Bitcoin plus Berlin.